The cluster outlining method is going to appeal to people who tend to skip around and have great ideas, but don't necessarily focus on one idea at a time. They tend to skip around, and then by the time they get to a really great idea, they may not remember exactly how they got there. So if you tend to skip around when you're talking with people and interrupt yourself, the cluster method really does allow for free association. So how you start is you take a blank piece of paper, and in the middle you write your book topic. Draw a circle around it, and then draw lines off of it of every single thing that you want to talk about when it comes to your book topic. So let's jump back to the example that I've been using, this half marathon book. Half marathon book would be the center circle. From there, I would draw a line and write equipment and draw a circle around it. I also would want to talk about training schedules. Draw a line around that one. I draw a line from my half marathon book title out to nutrition. From each of these smaller categories, nutrition, I would want to talk about sugary nutrition as you run, the pre-run that you must eat before you run, and what would make a good recovery eating option. You might want to create a meal plan around that as well. Once you have finished this creation process and you have an entire mind map filled with all of these clusters, then you can sit down and try to put them in an order that would make sense for a reader to read. So if there's any sort of timing, like if you need to know step A before you start talking about step B, this is good to know. You should have at least 3 levels in your cluster. So it would be your chapter headings, which would be the topics that you wanted to discuss. It's that first line of circles. Second line of circles would be your sub-chapter headings. So when it came to nutrition, that would be my chapter heading. Sub-chapter would be my meal plans. And then the third one, so from meal plans, I might have talked about breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So breakfast would be one of my reminders of what I want to talk about. And that would be the content for that chapter, and the whole map would be the content for my book. Now, when you are looking at your cluster map, you want to go ahead and see where you're duplicating yourself, and just go through and cross out that circle. It's not that you're just getting rid of it, it's actually fitting in a different spot better. Look also for circles that have very few spokes coming off of it. So if I had a chapter heading and a circle that said inspiration, and I only had one spoke coming off of that, well then maybe that chapter heading and that spoke can be nested under something else, or maybe it just isn't that important and it would be chucked out. So this, in a nutshell, is the cluster outlining method.